Daryl Recommends Podcast is a podcast recommending series and shouldn't be mistaken as a reviewing one. Opinions about each show are my own and should not reflect what each podcast has to offer. Content warnings aside, I believe if any recommendation in my series interests you, you should give it a chance, regardless of how I personally feel about the show.
My head was still pounding from the night before. To make matters worse, Laura's words still rattled around my skull like those kids' toys where you try to get the ball in the hole and I'm the ball. The crime scene was a mess. Third one in as many weeks. Hate to be the galoot stuck putting all of Humpty's pieces back together again. Poor Donald. Good man, but an all-day sucker if I've ever met one. I needed to get his statement on record and get it quick if I was going to keep this shiny new promotion. So you came by for brunch to find your brother standing over the victims?
Yes, sir.
Then what happened?
God. It was so...
Please, Don, compose yourself. There are women present.
But one radio show reduced to static, and even that one having trouble remaining on air. Walter, Troubles Mix, and his partner Whitney search for a missing writer and navigate the city, quickly falling into some sort of madness. What is The Frequency? What the Frequency is a psychedelic noir audio drama set in 1940s Los Angeles following both Troubles and his partner Whitney. The both of them set out to find a writer who's mysteriously gone missing, and all the while, it seems as if the world around them is going mad. The story is currently only one season and hasn't been updated in quite a while, but it is pretty good, solid story for just what it has down. So this one is a pretty fun one. I enjoyed it mostly. It's definitely completely different from other audio drama experiences that I have heard. And it definitely dwells into pseudo story, pseudo audio experience. It's very hard to explain. It's cut in with static, repeating phrases, 1940s commercials, things of the like, and I find that very cool. I very much enjoyed Troubles' character. He's played by Karim Kronfli, and just such a silly guy, probably one of my absolute favorite characters he has played, and I adore just that character in general, and him and his relationship with Whitney is very fun to see. They're just very much just give me the vibes of an uncle hanging around with his favorite niece. It's just very good all in all. It's been a while since I last listened to this show. I did, with a lot of shows that I first listened to a while ago and made videos about, sometimes I go back to re-listen to them. Here's the thing with What's the Frequency is I can never ever give this show a re-listen ever again. Ever. And it's not because the show is bad. It's not because I did not enjoy it. I did enjoy most of the show. It is because the show is a misophonia nightmare, and parts of it that make it a misophonia nightmare are very hard to avoid if you enjoy plot, if you enjoy characters doing stuff together. It's that and I've had podcasts where characters would eat on screen that would trigger the yikes. I do not know how to vocalize how it feels but just it feels very much going into flight or fight mode, and you mentally know that it's very stupid that mentally you feel like this, but you cannot get yourself out of that physical and mental response to those sounds of people chewing food, and it is worse in the show. So if you have misophonia, I don't think you should probably listen to this show, because there is just full-on characters grossly loudly eating food in the most obnoxious way in your ears while having serious important conversations with each other, and it is an absolute nightmare for me to listen to. I've had to pause through scenes and stuff just to get through different conversations. And luckily it's only like a small handful of times, but it's been so long since I last listened to the show, and like it's bad enough that I refuse to like give it a re-listen because of it. And I'm really hoping that whenever they do get around to doing a season 2, that maybe they'll cut that down a bit. Because it's funny, it's not the like, it's like I had no issue with like the stuff where it's just like long droning audio and static and things like that when it's doing its like really weird audio experience section of the show. It's very much the section where it's like, oh, story stuff is happening, and these characters are being very inaccessible about it with the way they decide to have like full-on meals while talking and do that very gross. It's very bad audio-wise. And I don't want to make this whole video of me like complaining about it, but yeah, it's really funny for me to recommend a podcast and be like, yeah, I like this show, I'm never listening to it ever again. But like, I physically can't. I can't put myself through that again. But I enjoyed it. If you like detective noir stuff, I think this is a very good show. It's very fun. It's definitely more on the serious side. There's like people kind of losing their minds. There was an attempted murder in one of the like end of the very last episode. There's just like there's so much stuff going on in this show, but it's very good if you want like a different, interesting audio experience. Overall too, it's like what's like kind of cool about this is like how it goes about with like merging together the stuff that's happening in like the audio experience stuff versus the stuff that is happening in the Trouble storyline. And overall, it just does like a very fun, interesting job with it. I think that's like one of the things I like with the show is it's very different from like a majority of audio dramas that I've listened to in the past. So if you want something that's different and you don't have issues with misophonia, go and give it a listen. I definitely recommend it. It was recommended to me by Joe because my friend Joe adores good detective noir stuff, and this is one of those good ones I very much enjoyed. But other than that, yeah, I enjoyed What's the Frequency. I hope they do a season 2. I hope season 2 does not do what I've been complaining about for like I think most of this video, which I'm so sorry for that. If you want like a good detective noir story with some psychedelic horror with like an interesting mystery, there's only one season, and season 1 isn't super long. Episodes are like roughly an hour-ish, half an hour-ish long. A lot of it is, there's not like a whole lot of episodes. I'm scrolling through and looking at it now, there's only 12 episodes in the whole show. So, short story, only one season. I think they mentioned doing a season 2, which I hope they do because season 1 definitely ends on a bit of a cliffhanger. But it's like psychedelic horror detective noir stuff, and I thought it was a pretty interesting way that they went about with it. So yeah, other than that, I am of course going to link any relevant websites down below. I do this every single time I make one of these videos. It is not new at all. If you're new to it, hi, you should go follow whatever websites I post down below. I've kind of given up on trying to remember which sites it is while I'm like writing the stuff for these videos. So I'm just at the point where it's just like, if you find links down below, that's what I found. Because sometimes I find myself saying like, oh yeah, we're going on this site, and go find the site, and this is where it's at, and then like I'm like, oh, this site doesn't exist anymore. Like if I didn't check beforehand which sites Blue Mayfield was still on for Camp Here and There, I probably would have linked the wrong things. Anywho, now that that's out of the way, I hope you guys have a good one. Go check out What's the Frequency, go get some detective noir stuff, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!